crowds gather in Washington, D.C. for a Defeat the Mandates rally. Here's more.
Thousands partake in a Defeat the Mandates rally as they fight for freedom in Washington, D.C.
Or, I mean, the freedom to be on a ventilator and die like a youth pastor who told science to go fuck itself.
Firefighters, first responders, doctors, and several other
Allegedly, just because you wear the shirt.
Groups from across the country marched in Sunday's event, which organizers called, quote, an American homecoming.
This is not medicine. This is not care. These policies.
Yes. Those people in the white coats right there, they don't care about medicine or care, right?
May constitute crimes against humanity.
The rally was filled with musical performances.
Yes, it was filled with musical performances, including one of the Doors Down.
Speeches from several renowned guest speakers who all continue to push back against the
demon sperm having sex with demons is causing the COVID, not the China is coming. We all went to Lab Coats R Us today.
Administration's unjust vaccine and mask mandates. Dr. Robert Malone, who pioneered mRNA research, said the vaccines were developed during the original Wuhan strain of the virus and questioned whether mandates make sense for protecting the elderly or most vulnerable from the original virus is irrelevant.
Regarding the genetic COVID vaccines, the science is settled. They're not working.
Yeah, they are. Because people aren't dying in the same numbers, stupid.
They are not completely safe.
Nothing is completely safe. As a scientist, he knows that. But they're safer than getting the disease, dum-dum.
These vaccines do not prevent Omicron infection.
Right, but you won't die from it.
Viral replication or spread to others.
Right, which is why everybody needs to get vaccinated. Because even if you're vaccinated, you might be able to spread Omicron. You're not going to die from it, which is the whole fucking point. To not die yourself. But even more so, other people should get vaccinated so that if you do carry it to them, they won't die as well. I don't know why somehow this, like, well, since, I mean, fuck it, right? I mean, you're not going to die. So nobody else has to get vaccinated.
Says the full nature of the vaccine's risks remain unknown, adding, quote, if there's a risk, there must be a choice. He says healthy children should not be subject to vaccinations and urged parents to get themselves informed.
These genetic vaccines can damage your children.
Well, maybe you'll say how. Hold on.
They may damage their brains, their heart, their immune system, and their ability to have children in the future. And even...
No. Based on what? A lightning bolt could do the same thing. You could, literally, you could get punched in the abdomen so hard that you can no longer have children. The fuck?
Every man, woman, and child in the United States were vaccinated. These products cannot achieve herd immunity and stop COVID.
Robert F. Kennedy soon took the podium.
No, they can stop the deaths.
Affirming Americans want their democracy back.
Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. And
Nobody can get away. Yes, you mean from Omicron, dum-dum?
when they give up, when they close the lockdowns and let us go back to normal, they are not relinquishing the power to do it to you again and again.
Well, they didn't do that when we were locking people up during tuberculosis either, dipshit. This isn't the first time America's had lockdowns or situations where they've scooped up people who are diseased. This is like, you watch. Sure, first they could find you guilty of murder if you knowingly and intentionally give someone HIV without telling them against their will, then, and if that ever happens again in a circumstance, they'll do it again. Well, of course.
And again, they now have that power and they will never let it go until we make them let it go.
What the fuck do you mean make them let it go? You know how you make them let it go? Dump all your fucking money that you're fighting vaccinations with into medical advances that fight diseases that come out of the emerging world or out of the thawing Arctic or out of the fucking jungles or out of the like rare animals that don't interact with humans very often, and when they do, they pass a new pathogen. Spend all your money solving that shit.
Several more speakers, including Dr. Peter McCullough and former 60 Minutes correspondent Laura Logan, were featured in the event, where about 20,000 people were expected to be in attendance. In the meantime, while the Supreme Court recently blocked OSHA's vaccine mandate for employers, businesses now have the decision on whether they'd like to enforce vaccinations up for themselves.
And OAN correspondent Cameron Kinsey has more with participants from the event.
Oh boy.
Okay, so what's your name, sir?
Oh, my name is Sam.
Sam?
Sam.
So why are you here today?
Well, we're here because we don't want this medical tyranny thing. Because, you know, all the lies behind this, I think we're tired of it. Because, you know, we get a natural immunity and all these mandates thing, I think all the people are very, very tired. And, you know, if we get the natural immunity is better than the vaccine thing, then why we still get a second shot, third shot, and a booster and all this stuff, you know. These are junk. I think the people are not.
By the way, the CDC just released a report that natural immunity and natural immunity with vaccination are enough, even in the age of Delta, to make you survive it and continue through Omicron. So the idea is that they now know that people with natural immunity don't have to get vaccinated necessarily for safety. They didn't have that information till now, but the biggest study yet has come out of California. That was the thing they were waiting for, which is what's going to open everything up. This is not science going, hiding something from the people or manipulating the populace or controlling the populace. It's them waiting for legit verification that natural immunity or vaccination will be enough for other strains. There's always a chance another strain could pop up that dodges both, but you can't live your life based on that, and they know that. But what they needed to know was that the odds favor greatly that natural immunity and or vaccination along with it will cover everybody. And they just had a report that came out. This is not because they had it a year ago and they were like, how do we teach these people to live under tyranny? It's they want to be fucking careful.
Are tired and they don't want to do it anymore, you know.
And so,
well, that's like a grown-up. Sure. Yeah.
who's actually implicating this medical tyranny that we're seeing in the United States?
Well, I think all these giant companies and pharmaceutical companies, I think they're the ones. I mean, the reason is very simple. I mean, they just want to, they want the pandemic never end, and so that they can get people.
Yeah, but that wouldn't work either, because after a while, you can see psychologically what's exactly happening. Even the booster people were avoiding. If you create a vaccine and you need a booster every 8 months or some shit, and the government's got to pay for it, nobody's going to fall for that for long. Somebody else is going to do an end run around it. The NIH is going to come. The Army's coming up with their own fucking vaccine. So hold on one second. Yeah. Hold on. Continue to the site. This is already happening. What the fuck? Who cares? Yeah, it's a huge conspiracy of these so that they can be end run around. You got an itchy neck? You want scratches? So you can do an end run around the fucking army? They're coming up with one that covers all of them. Within weeks, Walter Reed researchers expect to announce that human trials show success against Omicron and even future strains. This is December 21st, 2021. This is recent. They are already, just updated 22nd to add information from Walter Reed official about testing the Omicron variant because they just got experience with it. So, spike viridian nanoparticle COVID-19 vaccine, or spiffin, completed animal trials early this year with positive results. Phase 1 of human trials wrapped up this month, again with positive results. We're testing our vaccine against all different variants, including Omicron. On Wednesday, Walter Reed officials said in a statement that its vaccine was not tested on the Omicron variant, but later clarified in an email to Defense One that while it recently discovered the variant was not part of the animal studies, it is being tested in the lab against clinical human trial samples. These neutralization assay tests whether antibodies can inhibit the growth of the virus. We're going to wait for those clinical data to make sure to be able to kind of make the full public announcements, but so far everything has been moving along exactly as we had hoped. Unlike existing vaccines, Walter Reed's spiffin uses a soccer ball-shaped protein with 24 faces for its vaccine, which allows scientists to attach the spikes of multiple coronavirus strains on different faces of the protein. It's very exciting to get to this point where our entire team, and I think for the entire army as well. So, yeah, sure. Pharmaceutical companies invest in the idea that for the next 10 years, we're all going to get a shot every 6 months or something, which is what this asshole thinks. Meanwhile, they're about to get run around by the army. A taxpayer-built one.
Vaccine, and then they keep earning the profit. I mean, that's very simple. They never...
Yeah, but again, there will be an overlap where if all you are in it for is for profit and you're not the reliable vaccine, the vaccine that works the most is the one you only have to use once. And that's what everybody's looking for because they're looking down the next pathogen or the next thing. So Johnson & Johnson or Moderna or any of these, they knock this out with one fell swoop without you having to go back and do another one and another one. The next time this shit comes around, the government contracts and the world contracts to find a way out are going to go straight to the one that did it quickly. Not the one that, the one that got us on the pharmatit for 3 years.
The pandemic ends, but we're tired. I mean, there's no pandemic to me. I never wear a mask. I never get a jab, and I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam, for joining me on One American News.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. What's your name?
My name's Tonette.
And where are you from?
I'm from Virginia.
And so
you came a long way.
Why are you here today?
I'm here because I'm a healthcare worker, and I believe in freedom for all and not for some. And right now, healthcare workers are under the thumb of the mandates. And it should be freedom for all, not for some.
Well, we don't all have access to patients who are flat on their back from other infections, other viruses, pneumonia, or injuries. It's a different fucking standard. Right? I don't encounter as many people who are wiped or literally laid out by pneumonia and pathogens as this idiot does. She's up in their fucking face every day.
March in the name of freedom.
You're not marching in the name of freedom. You're marching in the name of selfishness.
And so have you noticed as a frontline healthcare worker how you guys are put in a difficult...
She didn't say she was a frontline healthcare worker. She said she was a healthcare worker. For honest to God, she could run labs for all we know.
With these, I guess a lot of doctors are saying with these other preventative treatments that you guys aren't able to use.
Yeah, there are a lot of early treatments that should be being used right now. A lot of prevention treatments that are far more superior than the vaccines and safer.
No.
Ivermectin, for instance,
no. For the record, no.
Safety index on that is safer than Advil and Tylenol, and so
that's because Advil and Tylenol is given to a lot more people. Again, this is percentage versus volume of humans. The number of people who take Advil and Tylenol is enormous. The number of people who get mistaken for a horse's ass and take ivermectin is much smaller.
An experimental drug.
20 people die of Advil poisoning, and 19 people die of ivermectin poisoning. It's technically safer. Now, lay that up against the number of people who take ivermectin versus the number of people who take Advil or Tylenol.
You can't take back once you put it in your bloodstream is it's unconscionable to me. And as
she's right. It is unconquerable. I don't know what the fuck unconquerable means. It's a new word. But sure. It's inconquerable. Hasten.
Everybody should be. I'm here today to march for the freedom to say no. The freedom for body autonomy, the freedom for patients.
Well, you don't have body autonomy. You work with the physically ill. You chose a field where you're in close contact with people whose kidneys are failing, whose immune systems are compromised, who have, bloodborne illnesses or open wounds.
To say no, this is my body. I realize.
Yeah. And the hospital can say, no, you can't get anywhere near our patients, you fucking lunatic. Bye.
The risks are, and I have the right to say no if I want to. So
yes, and the hospital has the right to fire you because you're endangering your patients. What the fuck?
I think in the light of how risky it is to take these vaccines, it's not a good.
What's the risk between getting the vaccine and getting COVID? Especially wild type or Delta, if you're not vaccinated. Huh? And I include in that risk, even if you yourself don't end up getting hospital level sick. The Delta variant was not something that was transmissible. Omicron's skipping the vaccine and is bouncing to other people. Delta was not. People were not spreading Delta when they'd been vaccinated or had previously had the wild type or Alpha. What do you think is the material difference between the Delta variant and vaccine irregularities? And by the way, that doctors don't, that if you have an issue, doctors don't recognize that and deal with it.
Choice for people, and they should have the right to say no.
And so as you've actually gathered here today.
Yeah, you have the right to say no. You just don't have the right to say yes for other people by spreading it to them.
Your sign and everything, what have you noticed? Like, what's a common theme amongst people here and from people who you've heard speak?
Well, selfishness, depraved indifference, wanton disregard for reality, the sort of, I don't know, like a brain like an ingrown toenail in its logic capability.
I think people are tired of having their
Yes, you all look exhausted.
freedom stepped on. I think Americans.
Yes, they're tired of having their freedoms stepped on. Imagine getting your hose stepped on when you're ventilated.
Know that something's not right. And I think people here are ready to stand up and be uncomfortable. I think people are finding their voices. I think the masses need to know that they have the power. And the small portions of the population that are putting these mandates and these unconstitutional...
They're constitutional. Common welfare. I mean...
laws or premises on the people. I think people are starting to wake up, and I think if you look around, there are people here that are vaccinated.
Yeah, if you look around, there's a lot of people here who are the exact same fuckers who've been coming to this bullshit for 2 years, minus a few.
Unvaccinated. We are all Americans. We all bleed the same, and our rights don't hinge on the fact of what's in our
of whether you have a bloodborne illness or I don't, and so I don't believe in hepatitis. So if I get a cut as a nurse, I go to work and I just continue to work as a dentist without gloves, because fuck it.
Our rights hinge on the fact that we have God-given rights. And I think that's the common theme that's going on right now.
The God-given rights.
Thank you for joining me on One American News.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Want to see more videos like this?
No, not really. Jesus Christ.